The language of Qur'an, easier than English. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to lesson number 14, part 1. In this lesson, our main focus is how to negate the nominal sentence. We've been learning how to use the nominal sentence in the previous lesson. We've learned how to emphasize the meaning of the nominal sentence. In this lesson, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to learn how to negate the nominal sentence, how to use Laysa, how to use the particles as in, ma and la to negate sentences, how to do the categorical negation and the emphatic negation in Arabic, and also how to use illa as exception. So a lot to cover. Let us begin with the blessed name of Allah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi zidni ilma. O my Lord, increase me in knowledge. Negating nominal sentences with Laysa. Before we look at how to negate the nominal sentences, inshallah, we're going to quickly review Jumlah Ismiyyah. And again, you should be very familiar with this. Zaydun alimun. Now, translation will be very easy for you. Zayd is a scholar. I've got two parts. We have both parts marfu, the subject and the predicate. The subject comes first, mubtada, and the khabar comes after. So again, very, very easy. And as you know, the subject and the khabar, they will match in number and gender. And the subject will be definite in most cases, and the khabar will be indefinite. However, when the subject is indefinite, for example here, fil bayti rajulun. The translation of it is, a man is in the house. In English, of course, we can say there is a man in the house. Here, fil bayti is, of course, jar, because al bayti is preceded by a harf of jar, and rajulun is rafa. We have here harf of jar, ism majroor. And please note, if they come in the beginning of the sentence, they cannot be mubtada. Harf of jar, ism majroor cannot be mubtada. It can be khabar, but not mubtada. So what is happening here, because the subject is indefinite, the khabar is coming first. So this is called khabar muqaddam. Literally means khabar coming first. And mubtada muakhar, mubtada coming later or after. So this is the change in the structure of the sentence when the subject is indefinite and we have a murakkab jari. Also, if you look at the example 3, we have baytu zaydin. Now this is an idafa structure, I'm sure you should know by now, and the translation is Zayd's house is big. House of Zayd is big. Baytu zaydin will be now our subject. Mudaf mudaf ilayhi, of course, is more than one word. Mudaf mudaf ilayhi, which is our mubtada, and the predicate is kabirun. So Zayd's house is big. So describing Zayd's house or giving information regarding house of Zayd or Zayd's house. Now, if you look at the next example, amam al bayti shajaratun. Amam al bayti again is, of course, mudaf mudaf ilayhi, and the shajaratun is rafa, we can see. Now, when the mudaf is an adverb, it is called an adverbial phrase, and it behaves exactly like number 2, which is jar majroor, exactly the same. Therefore, when the mudaf mudaf ilayhi is a special type of mudaf, which is zarf, even if it comes at the beginning of the sentence, it cannot be mubtada, and we have an indefinite khabar. So what we have here is exactly the same as number 2. We have the khabar coming first and the mubtada coming after. So these are the nuanced changes that we've learned to the murakkab, to the Jumlah Ismiyyah in different forms. Of course, the other issues are also there, the matching of the gender and the number and the other rules related to the Jumlah Ismiyyah that we've covered many, many times. This is one that people tend to forget. So please pay attention to this, inshallah ta'ala, because even in the previous lesson when we did the emphasis with Inna and her sisters, you'd had to recognize the subject and the predicate to label it correctly and of course to translate it correctly. So these are the basic rules, a review for nominal sentences. Now let us look, how do we negate nominal sentences? Two examples of sentences, first in the positive and the second in the negative. So I'm saying Zaydun alimun. Now, of course, we just done that. Zayd is a scholar. Mubtada and your khabar. Now we're going to use what's called a word called Laysa. Now Laysa is actually a verb in Arabic, and it can be conjugated to 14 different forms. Laysa. So it will negate a Jumlah Ismiyyah. Please pay attention to that. Now, when it does that, it converts the khabar to Nasab. Pay attention. So we have Laysa Zaydun aliman. Zayd is not a scholar. Zayd is not a scholar. So the word Laysa gives us the meaning of not, but it converts the khabar into mansub. So the labeling, very similar to what we seen in the previous lesson, now needs to change. So we have one rafa, the other nasab, and this will be called ismu laysa. Ismu laysa and khabaru laysa. Ismu laysa, khabaru laysa. So the mubtada is now changed, very similar to what we seen in the previous lesson with inna. Inna, ismu inna, this is now ismu laysa. The ism of Laysa will be rafa, and the khabar of Laysa will always be mansub. Always be mansub. So there's another reason now you've learned where the ism is mansub. So we have two sentences here. Let's quickly review them one more time. Zaydun alimun. Zayd is a scholar. Laysa Zaydun aliman. Zayd is not a scholar. Zayd is not a scholar. So what I have done in terms of meaning, I have used Laysa to negate and also converted the khabar into mansub. These are the 2 points that you need to know when the word or the verb Laysa is used. So again, to reiterate the point, another slide on the same topic as we had in the previous screen. The first we have Zainab is clever. Very simple sentence. Zainabu dhakiyatun. Dhakiyatun, it is, of course, both are rafa. I put Laysat in front because Zainab is feminine. I have Zainabu zakiyatan. So Laysat, Zainabu zakiyatan. And of course, by now you are expert in this. So this is now Nasab and this is Rafa. So you have your Ismu Laysa and Khabaru Laysa. Now in the same example here, Al-Waladu, which is masculine, Hakimun, the boy is wise. But I want to say the boy is not wise. I simply put Laysa in front, Al-Waladu, which is Rafa, and this is Nasab, okay, Hakiman. So Laysa al-Waladu Hakiman, the boy is not clever. So the use of Laysa in the Qur'an has been 74 times as far as I could find, and 3 times for Laysat. Laysa and Laysat. So you can see here, alhamdulillah, how they're used. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Laysa will have 14 different forms, one for each pronoun, but we don't need to learn them at this stage. In book 2 when we do verbs, inshallah, we'll cover them. But it is a verb, and therefore we have a masculine version and the feminine version. And I'm sure by now you can remember we did, for example, ja'a, and we did ja'at already. Okay, ja'a and ja'at. He came and she came. So this is a different way of understanding negation using Laysa. Please note that, inshallah ta'ala. And the only thing you need to worry about is if the subject is masculine, you will use Laysa. If the subject is feminine, you will use Laysat. 2 examples from the Quran of its use. To the disbelievers of it, there is no preventer. To the disbelievers, there is of it no preventer. I've given the ayah reference, inshallah. Please do check the full source. I will just go through the basic meaning here. So lil kafirina, I'm sure you should be able to work out now. This is jar, the li part, which is this part here. And kafirina is of course in majrur or jar status. So you have jar plus majrur both together. So that should be very easy. And li, there's a al there, which is hamzatul wasl and the lam, and because li's been added, that's been removed. If you're unsure, please check lesson number 8 and 9 where I went through this in detail. So to the disbelievers, lil kafirina laysa. So this is your negation of what's coming after. Lahu dafi'un. Lahu dafi'un. Remember I said jar majrur cannot be mubtada, so this is khabar coming first. Okay, dafi'un, no preventer. So again, you can see here, alhamdulillah, everything we've learned, we are repracticing something new, Laysa. We have another example here. Laysa kamithlihi shay'un. Please look at how beautiful example this is. Laysa negating. Ka is your harf of jar. This part is your ism majroor. Okay. That's your ism majroor. The he is your mudaf ilayhi because it's an attached pronoun to a noun, an ism. So mithl or example is the noun, and ka, so like him, ka mithlihi, like him. So not like him, shay'un, anything. So there is nothing like unto him. This is the translation. And you see this structure quite often in the Quran, so pay attention to that, inshallah. Wa huwa, and the rest should be very easy for you. Huwa is your pronoun, so this is your now mubtada, second sentence. So this wa is splitting the two parts together, and he is as-sami'u al-basiru. He is all hearing, the seeing. Again, the reference is given for you from the Quran here. So alhamdulillah, you can see that every time we're learning something new, we can open up at least another part of an ayah or parts of an ayah now as we're going through the examples. So again, the second example, Laysa kamithlihi shay'un, there is nothing like unto him, i.e. of course referring to Allah Azza wa Jal, and he is all hearing, all seeing, or he is the hearing and he is the seeing. So again, please note these two examples, and you should be able to understand all parts of it, even if you're not familiar with one or two of the words. Negating with the particles ma, in, la. Ma, in, and la, they actually work very similar to Laysa, except for one thing, they're not verbs, they're particles. However, since they are particles, there's no need to worry about masculine and feminine. So in will be whether the same, ma will be the same, la will be the same, whether it is masculine or feminine. Ma, of course, has many uses in Arabic, one of which is negation. We will look at others, like it is used as a relative pronoun. It is used also to negate past tense verbs. It is also used for asking question. For example, ma hadha, what is this, etc., etc. Another one of its use is a negation in Jumlah Ismiyyah, behaving like Laysa. In has a lot of complex issues. One of them is that it can be used with negation. It is mainly used with illa. We will look at that later, inshallah. And la is primarily only used for negation, but in many different ways. In this case, we're going to look at it, how it is used like Laysa, but mainly la is used with indefinite, when the subject is indefinite. Slight variations of them all, but learning them, you can see, inshallah ta'ala, ma is used 705 times, in 113, and la is 1419 as particles of negation. So you can see the frequency in the Quran is quite high. We just need to become familiar with how they're used, and when we go to advanced, inshallah, we'll pick up its variations. So 3 sentence examples now, just to illustrate ma and its use. Is exactly the same, inshallah. Zaydun alimun, nothing here new. Inshallah ta'ala, your mubtada and your khabar. Laysa Zaydun aliman. We have, of course, Zaid is not a scholar. And of course, I put ismu Laysa and khabaru Laysa. Now, ma Zaydun aliman. I hope you can see it's exactly the same. Ma is behaving like Laysa. So Zaid is not a scholar. The translation is exactly the same. When we use ma, we don't have to worry about the feminine version. Ma is used both masculine and feminine. So again, ismu ma and khabaru ma. This is the easiest way to do it. We're not going to go into the complex details at this stage. So ma is used exactly the same as Laysa, and it will convert the nasab into nasab, the predicate, the khabar. So please pay attention to that. Nothing new as compared to Laysa. 4 examples on the screen quickly illustrate ma for our benefit. Hada talibun. This is a student. I'm pointing to somebody. Now I point to somebody and say, this is not a student. Ma hadha taliban. Ma hadha taliban. This is not a student. Again, I hope you can see that this is now mansub or in nasab. Hunna mu'minatun. They are believers. Female plural. Okay, they are female plural believers. Ma hunna mu'minatin. This is nasab. Of course, it could be nasab or jar. Sound feminine plural. Please refer to lesson number 4 if you've forgotten. Ma hunna mu'minatin. They are not believers. Next. Al-baytu jadidun. The house is new. The house is not new. Mal baytu jadidan. Okay, the house is not new. Then we have indee sayyaratun. I have a car. I have a car. Ma indee sayyaratun. Now here you don't see anything mansub. Why? Because remember earlier I told you, indee is actually a mudaf ilayhi structure. Yes. So we have inda. That's the original. But then I add the ya mutakallim. The ya mutakallim will always force the word before it to take a kasra. So we have indee. So we don't know the Arab of it in simple form. But of course, when we look in the detail, we'll work out the Arab. But most important thing here, this is mudaf ilayhi, and inda is actually a dharf. So let me write that down. So inshallah ta'ala, you can note it down. Dharf, which is an adverb. So therefore, indee I have is going to become the khabar, coming early, first. Sayyaratun, car, is my subject. So I'm saying here, I do not have a car. I do not have a car. Ma indee sayyaratun. And that is why you cannot see that this is in nasab at the moment, because it is another structure on its own and plus the ya mutakallim. So I will say now here, this is my ismu ma and this is my khabar. Khabar, muta'alliq or shibu jumla, whichever way we want to do it, inshallah ta'ala. So this is the difference between the first three and the last one, 4. To illustrate that, let's look at a bigger example, inshallah. I want to say he has a brother in Arabic. He has a brother. Lahu, I hope you can remember, lahu is what? Jar majroor. So he has a brother and he does not have a brother. Ma lahu akhun, he does not have a brother. So what is happening here? Lahu is jar majroor. Akhun is now, of course, rafa. But what is it? Lahu jar majroor is your khabar coming early, and akhun is your mubtada coming late. And therefore the labeling of it will be early predicate and subject delayed or late or coming after, and this is your jumlatul ismiyyah, where the mubtada and khabar has been turned around. Why? Because akhun is indefinite. It is not the brother, it is a brother. Ma lahu akhun is exactly the same, except for that, of course, I have the jar majroor, which is my khabar, and I have my mubtada coming later, khabar coming early, but we have the ma, which is for negation, coming earlier. That's the change meaning, but the structure is exactly the same. So again, I repeat, if you see jar majroor or adverb followed by mudaf ilayhi, they cannot be the subject of or the mubtada, and therefore they cannot fit into that slot. And therefore we have when the subject is indefinite, they're moved around to facilitate that in Arabic. Please pay attention to these forms, inshallah ta'ala, because otherwise you'll be confused when you cannot see the nasab. It is because the structure itself has taken that position. So again, few examples from the Qur'an. هذا بشرا ما هذا بشرا. This is not a man. So هذا بشر is been changed to because of ma basharan. So you can see that inshallah in that structure. فما له من قوة ولا ناصر. He shall have no power nor helper. So he shall have no power or no helper. Again, exactly the same. I hope you can see jar majroor, another one here, and then la is repeated here for the second negation. We'll look at la shortly, inshallah. Ma hunna ummahatihim. Ma hunna, not they, female plural. Ummaha, okay, ummahati, him. They are not their mothers. The him is your attached pronoun. And ummahat is the sound feminine plural. And therefore, this is now acting as we've seen the previous examples earlier. This is ma hunna is your subject. Ummahati, him, their mother, which is your predicate. And the predicate here is nasab. Remember the feminine plural is atun, atin. Here is ati for nasab or jar, but it is now going to be nasab. Why? Because of ma in the front. And of course, lost is tanween because it is mudaf. Anytime a pronoun is attached to a noun, it will be mudaf ilayhi. Now, la is also used for negation. I've got two examples here, both from the Quran, inshallah. Exactly the same principle as we've seen with Laysa in terms of grammar. But la is used mainly where the subject is indefinite. Subject is indefinite. So, la rajulun khayran minka. There is no man better than you. There is no man better than you. So again, this is a construct here, of course, jar majroor. La rajulun khayran minka. And again, we have la khawfun alayhim. There is no fear upon them. Khawfun is indefinite. Rajulun is indefinite. Therefore, I'm using la. La khawfun alayhim, of course, is from the Quran. It's a commonly used structure in the Quran. I've many examples. I've given you one here so that inshallah when you come across it, you'll recognize it. So there is no fear upon them. So as a general rule, when you have multiple negation, ma and la can be used. La can be used also repeatedly for double or second negation, triple negation, negating three things at the same time in one structure. You repeat the la again and again. So we'll see a few examples here. I've got 7 examples on the screen. I'm going to enlarge them inshallah and go through them so that these points can be understood and you can see how they're used in the Quran. So the first 3 examples, the first one is ma indee qalamun. I don't have a pen. But by putting wa here, I'm joining something else to it. Wala kitabun. So I'm using la again for negations. Ma for the first one, la for the second negation. Another example of it here. Ma huwa imaman. He is not an imam. Wala shaykhan. Nor is he a shaykh. So again, 2 negations here. Ma first, la in the second. And then this is a Quranic example. وَمَا لَكُمْ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَمَا لَكُمْ. So this is your first negation. Lakum, jar majroor. I hope you can see it. Min dunillahi, other than Allah. Min dunillahi. Min waliyin. Again, another jar majroor. So you got one here, one there, one there. And these 2 are the idafa structure. Dunillahi. Okay, this is why this is majroor. Wala nasirin. So you have no guardian or helper besides Allah. You have no guardian or helper besides Allah. So you can see here ma negating the first part, la negating the second part. In the next 4 example, again they're all from Quran. You'll see now la being repeated. So the fourth example we have fala khawfun alayhim wala hum yahzanun. There shall be no fear upon them, neither shall they grieve. There'll be no fear upon them, nor shall they grieve. In the 5th example, fala rafatha wala fusuqa wala jidala fil hajj. So again, quite a few negations there, but how is it happening? 3 different ones, and there is to be no intimate relations, foul language, and arguments during Hajj. 3 specific negation using la. So we've seen ma la combination, we've seen la combination, we've seen now la. Why are the differences? We don't need to go into this detail, but need to recognize them at this stage. And then we have another very powerful example. We have ma kana. So here we have ma first. The 6th example, we have ma first negation. Kana Ibrahimu Yahudiyan. So Ibrahim was not a Jew. Wala Nasraniyan, nor a Christian. So again, 2 negations here. Very powerful statement. Ibrahim alayhis salam could not have been a Jew, nor could he have been a Christian. He predated both. So what was his deen? So ma kana Ibrahimu Yahudiyan wala Nasraniyan. Again, you can see that inshallah ta'ala very clearly. Reference is given there for you. In the 7th and last example on the screen, we have 3 uses of la. We have here the first la, the second la, and the third la. So yawmun, a day, la bay'un fihi, there is no buying or exchange on that day. Wala khullatun, nor is no friendship. Wala shafa'atun, or intercession. Of course, it is talking about the day of judgment. Whatever we are going to earn, we're going to earn in this dunya. and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy upon us, because on the day there is no ransom, there is no friendship, there is no intercession except by the permission of Allah Azza wa Jal. So these are the beautiful examples for us just to see the simple negations that we are adding to the knowledge that we've already got, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah, we'll conclude the first part of the video here. Alhamdulillah, we have covered the negation of the Jumlah Ismiyyah, the simple how to do that. We've covered how to use Laysa. We've also done how to use in ma la, exactly the same as Laysa really, but these are particles. The other Laysa was, of course, a verb. So you had Laysa and Laysat. Alhamdulillah, very simple. If you've done the previous lesson with inna well, this should not really pose any or cause you any major problems, inshallah ta'ala. In the second video, we will continue the topic. And jazakumullah khairan for your feedback and watching the video. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. I hope and pray you are benefiting from these lessons. Kindly share, like and subscribe. Encourage others to learn and share widely so others from the ummah can benefit from learning Arabic to understand Qur'an. Until the next video, remember us in your du'as. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.